Hey guys. Hi, it's so good to see you. How are you doing? So I'm just still setting up. I'm figuring this out. But yay. Okay, I can see that Jacob is in the chat. Hello. Greetings. I'm gonna see what else we got going on and making sure that I can live stream like a person who can live stream, So let's just see. Okay, just checking. All right. So it is great to see you all. Thank you for being here, whether you're watching this now or at a later date. So I thought that I would make this live stream because, I'd normally be filming a video for you guys anyway. So I was like, why don't I just do a live stream? Because I also wanted to do that and I thought it'd be fun. And then I also wanted to do a bit of a unity ceremony or moment. And I was like, how about I just put them all together and we go from there. Okay, I can see that Marilaya, I'm so sorry, I can't pronounce her name, is here. Thank you. Welcome, welcome. So, yeah, we're going to have a little talk as well. So the reason that I felt called, a part of the reason that I felt called to do a unity ceremony or unity moment is that in our current experience, there is an increasing sense of divide between our differentiating consciousnesses. And this is something that is sort of, you could consider it natural in a way, in terms of it happens. It doesn't have to happen, but when, as the guides have spoken to me about this, when the planet shifts her frequency, it's very common for a sense of war, not just physical war, but consciousness to come across the human population. As we grapple with how to fix things, how to change things, how to make it better, how to move through, we are experiencing a sense of division with each other, as everyone has a different approach and everyone has a different level or moments in their consciousness of who they are at this time. So with that being said, the other part of this was to be authentic. If you're like me, you might be experiencing some challenging emotions with this whole thing, right? We're watching people who are unawakened, moving even deeper into a lower state in some respects. We're watching restrictions and all these things with agenda, filled with agenda, harm, that there's harm coming to our fellow brothers and sisters, whether they realize it or not. And I know for me, that's been a very strong thing to kind of emotionally process and to learn how to approach that with the wisest part of myself. And it brought up a lot of emotions. It brings up the why does this have to happen of a crying child, the just also human compassion for other people, and a kind of sorrow or sadness, and also anger, anger and frustration at the violation that is occurring to certain people who are either by force or by their own will are choosing to do things that are harmful to their consciousness. And as I've spoken with Spirit about this numerous times, I kept saying, like, how do I be wise with this? How do I not just like project anger everywhere? Or, and how do you transform something where there's a lot of resistance, but you want to also not come from that place of just anger or just frustration or whatever it is. And I think a really strong example of that is in some protests that we see. A lot of protesting, there's a lot of, I just use this as an example, there's a lot of kind of resistance energy there. There's frustration, there's anger, there's all those things. And those energies are helpful to a point. They tell us what needs to change. They tell us that something is happening without our permission, or like not in our own alignment or our best, our highest good. But beyond that, we have a fight urge, and we if we follow that, we contribute to the warring on this in this experience, and not just this experience, but any kind of situation you might apply that to. Um, and so essentially, for me, the answer was to process a lot of these emotions and to realize that a lot of them are not about the current situation. Some of them are, such as the kind of compassion for one another. But I suppose the sense of violation to a degree to that point. Um, but beyond that, a lot of it, especially for me with my abusive childhood, I'm seeing a lot of that replaying, people who are too kind of, in the analogy of a child, smaller and have less power in terms of their current consciousness. And and yet, and yet, the highest thing that we can do is approach this from a higher place. And that is what I try to do. And part of my process was, when I would feel these emotions, was lighting a candle, lighting a light for our collective, that we might, it is an offering. When you offer something energetically, it must be an offering. You cannot force light upon anybody, but you can say, this is here, should you choose to come home. And that's what I want our candle little moment to be today, if you would like to participate in that. Yeah, so we'll do that in a few moments. But what else can I say is that the guides were talking about how, and I see this, it is more integrated. There's still some emotion I need to process, but ultimately, people are free to utilize their power and to awake at any moment. And there is a higher love that needs to come through in this experience. And that higher love is, I honor and I respect that you are on your unique soul path, and that this experience, even if they are suffering, is serving your soul into awakening, or whatever your soul chooses to do in some way. And it is not for me to decide that that is wrong or bad, or to try to change your experience for you, or change the experience so you don't have to experience that. Um, if I was to do that, and if I perceive things like that, I am disrespecting that person's, the truth of who they are, the soul, the essence of power that they are. Um, and I think it's a very high lesson, to hold that, to hold, I honor where you are when someone you love is suffering, for example. Yet, this is what we must do. And I don't think that sending our anger, energy, and frustration is useful beyond the point of saying, hey, this is not okay. Um, and that's why I am continuously offering light, because that's what I can do. That is what I can do. And we all have different colors or shades of what we can do. um, and where we're at in this kind of adjustment or emotional adjustment to actually integrating that higher truth as a, you hear these things and then you want to emotionally drop it down into your experience. And that means even just practically, if you see someone who is, having an opinion that you disagree with, or that from an objective consciousness level, is not going to go well for them, or is of higher light, you stay in your heart and you hold space and you honor that. Okay, you are experiencing what you need to experience to grow, and I trust you. I trust you, and I trust your path. And I'm getting my chills of resonance now, and I can feel the guide saying, like, this is a huge part of what we must do, is trust one another, trust one another's process. And that moves into the rest of what I was going to speak about today. But I'm going to do our candle moment first. If you wish to join me, whether you're live or at a different time, I would really like for us to, as I said, remember that you are just, if you want to, offering a light, and it's a sound or a frequency to come home, and it's compassion, and it's just unconditional love. Like all of this, what I just said about that higher place, that is unconditional love. That is the place that your guides and things, for example, resonate at, and that's why they don't save you from experiences we get ourselves into, because they honor who you are and the truth of who you are. So as you participate in this, please hold a space of honoring the truth of who all humans are at this time, the truth, the soul of who they are, rather than any kind of pity, which can kind of accidentally get in there with your compassion. And I totally get it. But we want to hold a higher frequency. And just love. If you can find a place of pure love, if you can bring that into your body and bring that into your heart, I really invite you to hold that as you light the candle. And I'm just checking the chat here for a moment. Yes, hi Sam, hi Olivia. It's lovely to have you all here. So I'm going to kind of do this in a way where it's a little bit guided, but obviously adjust with anything. You want to adjust to what is actually resonant for you. That means changing the words a little bit if that feels better in your body, things like that. And my camera, I tried to elevate my sage, but my little table is just so low. So I'm going to just hold my candle up for you for a moment here. Okay, so here's my little candle. Yay. And you can grab yours if you're feeling ready or if you have one. Again, whether you're live or later, doesn't matter. And in a moment, we're going to come into our hearts. We're going to come into breath for a moment. And then we're going to set intention for what this candle means or vibrates. And we'll go from there. Okay, checking out the chat. Hi, Tina. Lovely. Hi, Gabrielle. Lovely. Hope that you all have your candle ready. And I'm also going to be a little bit intuitive, so other magic things might happen, but we will see. Okay, so if you want to join me in just for this moment, coming into your center, using your breath to anchor you into now, just by feeling it or hearing it, bringing your focus there. And even breathing into the heart area, you can imagine that the breath goes into and out of your heart space. You might like to affirm something like, I allow my heart, I am in my heart, whatever language suits you. And I'm going to say some intentions here, and you can vibrate with them if you wish to, and you can also add your own if anything comes to you, or adjustments, you can do that. May this candle of highest light and highest truth be a lighting of the flame, be a blessing and an honoring of who we each are. May we remember the sound of our spirit, and may this be an offering to come home of free will, sacred permission, and the song of God. May we remember that we are one. We are unity. We are connected. There is a oneness, an inseparableness between each of us, humanity. For all beings who wish to, may they align to this light, embody or express or vibrate in any way that is for their highest alignment. And maybe we feel our connection to one another now through the great web of love, the great web of love, of golden streams of light from every heart that chooses to resonate, peace, love, the essence of who we are. And we invite guides and light beings of highest love to support these intentions, to please assist this light in vibrating to its highest and most in alignment expression now, and even long after this candle is blown out. May there be light. May we remember who we are. And you might like to really feel the love or compassion or oneness in this moment. And as you're ready, lighting your candle, knowing that light is ever present, ever here, ever awake, ever now. And so it is. Okay, show you guys that. Beauty of spirit, the song of our hearts. So it is. So I'm just going to place this down here for the time being. Putting my lighter somewhere. I'm just going to grab a drink of water. And taking your time, if you want to sit with that longer, you might like to. Okay. So beautiful. So beautiful, you guys. How did you go with that? You can let me know in the comments if you wish to. Don't have to. I'm just reading. Yeah. Hi, C. Brown. Hey, Sam. Great candle emoji. How'd you get that? It's an emoji for everything at the moment. It's like life. It's crazy. Seriously. Okay. All right. So you can just let your candle be. And remember that, I like to do this. When I blow it out, I just reaffirm within myself that light is ever present, light remains, and it is always, And that way I don't leave it on forever and accidentally set myself on fire, which could happen because that's just the kind of person I am. It's just bumping things. That's something I do. So I'm looking at my notes at the moment for the rest of what we might talk about today. And then I'm open to maybe just a couple of questions about this particular sort of topic of conversation if you guys want to. Just got my hair here. So let me just have a look here for a minute. Okay. So, through this process, there are many people who are struggling with the process itself and the process within, but also the process. And when I say the process, sorry, I'm talking about this adjustment in frequency to a higher vibration that we are all experiencing. Many people are, what you want to do in this process is you want to ride the waves, basically. So you want to be completely allowing of this looks like on human level, this looks like your emotional process, right? That's where our healing is, or our ascension is, or whatever you call that. So ideally, what we want to do is flow with anything and everything that is brought up in us, and using it all to as an opportunity to go inwards and alchemize. And I mean, that's the ideal function for your entire life, basically. I'm just going to turn this light up a little bit. I don't know if that did anything. The weather keeps changing, so I don't know what setting to put it on. I'm going to turn this aircon off. It's the same thing. The weather is a bit weird right now. So, yeah, you want to flow with what you're experiencing. And now more than ever, because the difference is that now, because that is just going and going, and we're in a kind of rapid, they call it the quickening. If you fight that process, you're going to have a bad time. You're going to suffer more, because it is the light that's here is just pulling out. It's just pulling so strongly what is no longer needed, what is not in alignment with purity. So that's ideally what we're doing. And so a lot of people are experiencing that and are having a challenging time. Like, that's challenging, even if you're doing a master job at that. We're having to face some pain, and pain is painful. Yet there's also great light. When you do flow, you will have greater expansion happening as well because of that light. So when you heal, or when you vibrate high, it can get really high. And that's the beautiful thing about it as well. So that's what we want to be doing. And other people as well are having their own experience. And so part of my notes here from the guides is about understanding with one another that we are all having that experience. Even people who are not spiritual and not, or doing self-development and sitting there doing stuff, those people are having to face things. People are having much more quickly or deeply manifested experiences of the pain that's still inside of them. So this was a call to them, noting this was a call to more compassion with each other, really trusting in that process and believing that when you meet with someone who is angry or violating, or, on the other side of the fence, so to speak, that you really remember that we're all being pushed into a pressurizing situation right now. The other part of this was that the difficulty in this warring is more that we are having a hard time in your inner war. And so you experience it outwardly. So another thing that you can do, and you can see how these are all ingredients to more unity. Another thing that you can do is really realize this and see that when you are having an outburst or an emotion reaction at someone or something that's happening in this experience, to really realize that emotion is living in you, and that it is in you, and you're really reacting to something that's being mirrored outwardly. And so to go within. And that, this is a challenge, because what's happening now, or rather what the people who are in a position of influence, who are doing all these restrictions and things right now, the way that they go about things is that they use the human survival mechanism so they use and manipulate fear. So that means that we're all in there's a heightened fight or flight in the nervous system as well. I mean, it doesn't have to be that way. You can have many moments and days of peace, but a lot of people being triggered in that sort of area of consciousness. Um, so the more that we can just go inwards and not project onto one another more than this already being is just mirrored is going to be really helpful. And this kind of the guides are saying now that this different way of seeing things is a doorway into kindness, into being kinder with one another. Compassion equals kindness, understanding one another's experience equals compassion equals kindness. And in that way, we can feel, just even if, there are many people who are not going to let you be their friend right now, even if you're the kindest person in the world, it is not about changing the other side or person's experience, but it is about just holding that kindness or holding that light and understanding that that is more of a beautiful contribution than resisting or being angry with each other. And that is that same offering, of here's a high vibrational essence or energy. Whenever there's a high vibrational energy, it is like an offering to whatever's lower in that field. So if you do that, that's an offering. As I said, many people are quite deep in the survival, so they are unlikely to take that. But that still matters. It matters to our collective. It matters to you and the wellness of you. And it matters to our ultimate progression into unity consciousness. So the guides are telling me now to talk about this doorway to freedom idea, which is basically, you can see that if you vibrate in that way, you are becoming free and freer and freer, even with whatever's happening. You don't need the outside circumstance to be different in order to have inner freedom or to vibrate freedom. And this contributes to our collective freedom greatly. What these groups would prefer is that you react, and you are unable to do that. Yet do you see how if you vibrate differently, you become untouchable in that way? And there's nothing that can be done about that. There's nothing that can touch that, because you are just rising and rising and rising. And this is what brings us into our hearts. All of these are stepping stones or pieces of the heart. So I'm just going to see what else I wrote about that doorway. So the guides are saying that allowing your planet, the entire planet as well, and the collective to come into harmony is about, as we've said, not resisting this process, just honoring that it is a time of great change and anchoring peace. Let love be your breath. Let love be your breath. When I breathe, may it come from the heart. And breath is existence, it's life. When I exist, may I be love. Be kind to what you have created. So there's that responsibility of the fact that basically this cleansing is happening because all of us light workers have been sitting around dreaming about the new earth and raising our vibration and all of that, and holding space for a collective change. And this is that space, and we have created that. So we need to just take more responsibility rather than being like a child that is like, oh no, you shouldn't be doing this, and like in a kind of victimized way. It's okay to say they shouldn't be doing this, but in that kind of victimized position, you have to remember, oh, like I wanted this cleansing to happen. And here is the guidance and other people and your own guidance of how to further create that. It's this is something that I've done, and nothing has gone wrong. This is that higher love. Nothing has gone wrong. This is an elevation. This is frequency change. This is ascension. Nothing has gone wrong. So who am I to like project all my fear onto this and not trust the process instead? Should I not trust the process because this is the elevation? It just, maybe in our back of our minds, we expected it to feel great. But is that the way of cleansing and purification? I don't know. I'm just checking the chat out of the corner of my eye. Beautiful beings. Okay. Yeah, thank you for sharing, everyone. Nana, Gabrielle, Olivia, everyone. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Okay. So the guides were saying something really powerful. I thought it was really powerful. Was that in this experience, we can view things as like, oh, here's a roadblock to what I want to do, or to ascension, or to my experience. But rather than seeing things as a roadblock, they said the words doorway to freedom. And that's that process of going into what's coming up and allowing the block or the emotion, whatever it is, a physical circumstance or your inner emotional issues, to be, allowing them to be, and going through them, allowing them, healing them, rather than fighting or trying to get away or around them. The powerful thing about this, and it's so powerful, and the reason that it could be called a doorway to freedom, is that I'm just looking at my crazy drawings. Okay, is that when you have these two polarizing energies, basically, and you could think about the polarity in our consciousness right now that I mean. So these people and these people, and the splitting of the earth, it just means consciousness. When you have these, rather than being at war, they can actually give birth. And this is the birthing of synergy. Synergy is utilizing an experience and taking two things and creating the third force. And that is not an active creation. It is something that just happens when there is the space and the right alignment and personal power. The guides are saying personal power. This is how we move with nature and how we birth through nature. So I'm looking at my notes because they were showing me kind of a vision of basically 3 planets, and then basically a 3, like the shape of a 3, kind of joining them, right? And it was just joining them, but then I looked at it and I was like, oh, it looks like a 3. And because it's all about 3s in kind of awakening consciousness, when we are transforming into a new beginning, we want to use this third force. Use the third force. And I'm just going to check in to the guys if they want to add anything to that. So an example would be taking the energies of, say, the sun and the moon, and these are quite different, right? But in the fullness or completion of them, there is an entire completion. When this is complete and this is complete, or this is allowed and this is allowed, boom, something else is born. Just through, does that make sense? Like if you have 2 ingredients, initially there are 2, like say 2 ingredient cake, right? That would be awesome. But here's this ingredient, here's this ingredient, putting them together, it's something totally different. It's a cake now. So that is what is meant by synergy, and this idea of birthing through that process. So you have to allow all of it to be as it is, and to come, in this instance, to come to its own completion. And then this will birth the new earth in this instance. And you cannot do that through being busy fighting with one another, or or not cultivating your experience, not cultivating and allowing all of it. And it also tells us that both are needed as the doorway. Both are needed as the doorway. Because, and this makes so much sense to me, because like, if this wasn't happening, we would not be kind of magnetically attracting, magnetically vibrating as hard as we are about creating a better world. And that's the purpose of contrasting experiences or difficult or pain experiences, is that you are inspired towards something better because the pain feels bad. So without this shadow that is here, we would not even have what is the end cake or the final birthing, the utopia that we look forward to. So we have to honor everything. And this is the guides say, like, this is the most powerful position to be. This is true power. It's not about, you're not trying to get on top of one another or anything like this. You just ignore that. You're using the experience, you're using the magnetics, really, metaphysically, you're using the magnetics and the vibration of and the energies that are here to create what you want. And it's non-resistance, and that allows energy to flow purely. When you resist, you shut the gates, so to speak, or you close the door, so to speak, because your focus, your energy is on resistance, is actually flowing towards the thing that you're resisting. Like if I'm resisting pain and I'm like, I really don't want pain, I really don't want pain, I really don't want pain. What is my focus on in that moment? Pain. Even though I'm saying I don't want, the focus as a powerful creative being, your focus is neutral. It is neutral. And so it doesn't matter. And that's why if we're manifesting in things, we want to not do that. And we want to say, instead of pain, what do you actually want? You want maybe peace. So you would try to just focus on peace. I am peace. I call in and I allow peace. So resistance is a really powerless place to be, and allowing is where our full true power is here. And by allowing all of it, and I see it kind of like encompassing all the people that, don't want to vibrate high and don't want to be wrapped in love. You just have that offering vibration, and then they have a choice, and then we birth the new earth, or they will continue to experience their own experiences needed to return to their higher self, return to the oneness, whenever they choose that. So I thought synergy is like so magical because it's a really important part of in older eras where we did a lot of earth magic in our tribes or communities, witches, things like that. They use the power of synergy because it is the element of nature. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but it is through their energy, the nature energy, and they create. It's super magical. I love it. So I'm just checking my other notes here. So they were also talking about our kind of, in your own life. When I say our, I mean like you in your own life and collectively. Our kind of perception of things and our way with things. So what they were saying is, you want to choose to be wise in your inaction and your action. There's a time for adventure and play. And in that moment, they were saying, like, don't forget to have adventure and play, and at the right time. Sometimes play and adventure is actually really the medicine that's needed at the wrong time, like in really difficult situations. That's often the way we need the polar energy. So there's a time for adventure and play, and a time for letting go of what you cannot or will not be able to solve, release, and begin anew. So that felt very powerful to me because I felt and sensed that they were saying that in this situation, the splitting that we're experiencing, a lot of people, especially in the spiritual community, are whether consciously or unconsciously, and there's no judgment, but having a perception of we need to solve this. There's a fixing and a solving, which has the attitude of resistance towards change. It has an attitude of resistance and non-acceptance. And the guys are saying, instead of that, release. Just release. So that to release, you have to allow first. You have to be allowing. So allow, release, and begin anew. So rather than fighting, just begin what we want to create. And that doesn't mean this kind of language of the way of non-resistance. It doesn't mean just being passive and letting terrible things happen to you, or, in whatever situations. It doesn't mean no boundaries, but it just means that I don't fight with what is. So something has happened. I might have to protect myself or take some action or some resisting, so to speak, action, but I don't kind of ferment about that, and I don't have extra pain because I'm wishing that it was different and that it didn't happen. Resistance is that extra layer of this shouldn't be. So that's what's important here. And not having that in yourself allows you to have boundaries, have a painful experience if that's there, then release and begin anew. So we really need to drop the attitude of fixing and solving, because those are ingredients for suffering. That's really what suffering is when there's the I shouldn't, or this shouldn't be. Because what has happened has happened. What is. And humans, we just skip that. We're just in denial about that, and then we just have a fight with reality because of the pain, because we're avoiding the pain of accepting it. There's some pain sometimes with acceptance, accepting something painful. What our ego doesn't really want to grasp or understand is that through acceptance is the relief of that pain, not fighting, in the transformation of it. So I'm just going to check the chat for a moment. Oh, hello, everybody. Lovely to see you all here. Jean says he threw a cake in the compost. Awesome. Hi, Matthew. I did not pronounce that, but it's really cool. Yep. Okay. Dylan, Sam, thank you for your lovely comments. Jacob's saying, well, I think we're going to read it. If it's okay, I'm going to share what Jacob has said, which is very wise. Another example I thought of is that of a relationship. Allowing one being to be in their own as well as another makes it possible for a third entity to be created, being the relationship. Exactly. Yes. Synergy. That's what we want to go for. And even just saying that word, do you guys feel the power that's in that? But just allow, boom. I think it's like a magnetic metaphysical thing I need to learn more about, but it's the most natural way. Yeah, beautiful. So I'm just going to see if I've covered everything. Yeah, and I think that the last message is just basically that we need to honor everybody's free will, okay, and that the gift of free will is sacred. It is sacred, and you don't want to become like those people in our earth who are currently taking advantage of and not honoring free will. We want to be higher than that, and we want to rise, and we want to be. Your free will is sacred. You are a sacred being, to whomever might be in opposition to you emotionally or through experience or whatever it is. You are sacred. All experience is sacred. There is something sacred and light in the experience. And that is what is meant by saying that every experience is sacred. It is looking for and owning and honoring and stop being in denial of the higher intention that is always in everything that is. We get so wrapped up in just our reality and wanting it to be different and all of that, and we forget again and again. And it's okay, this is the process of remembering and forgetting, but we forget that this moment is perfect as it is. The God force created this, in part, is part of this experience. The God force created the people who are being abusive and violent right now. And as painful as that is on a human level, if I go into my heart and I hold that for a moment, I can feel flickers of compassion, and I can feel that there is a higher purpose, and I can see the future. And I see the future is born from our synergy, our collective powerful magic of acceptance, the doorway to freedom. Holding this in your vision right now is so important. I wrote that this is a little bit about the future today because the guides are kind of indicating that taking this path that we've been learning about today is going to elevate our future, and it is the path to the future that we would prefer. In this instance, humans, we would use the language of ascension or new earth or utopia. This is the path. And it's powerful and it's magical. And to hold that vision in your heart, hold your kind of individual vision that you have for your life, and hold the larger perspective for our earth, for Gaia herself, that she might be well and whole and beautiful and paradise, and for our collective, and sensing this elevation is a lot about harmonizing, because harmony is harmonizing with the sound of, which is vibration, the vibration of the earth that's clearing herself, and the sun that's changing, and the alignments in the sky that are shifting. We need to harmonize with everything that's in our experience, and that is how we will birth a world of harmony. And it is the only way. Vibrationally, you have to think about it. That is the only way. If you want to have harmony, you have to vibrate at harmony. Whatever we want to create, we have to vibrate at that. And we can do it. And we've done it. I'm just looking at my candle. We've done it through a beautiful, coming together today, through unifying today. It's beautiful. I'm just going to look at the chat. Okay, yes, lovely, guys. If anyone has any questions, you are welcome. Otherwise, we'll start to wrap up soon. Or anything else that you just want to share as well, that's cool. Yeah, but what else can I say? That, I'm grateful that you guys came here today, because, if you can't tell, part of the agenda with these people is to make unity a little bit harder, or a lot harder, to play on, to amplify the distressing kind of resistances we're having with each other, and also to make it harder to gather in groups, to go and see love people in different countries. All of that is because unity consciousness is rising, and there's a fear. They have a fear about loss of power in that. So we have to come into unity in all the ways. This is what I mean. It doesn't matter that they put restrictions or whatever. Gather anyway. Gather anyway. Unify. We are unity. We are strong. We are one. We are one collective great web of love. That great web of love that I mentioned earlier in our intentions is a real kind of, I don't like this word, but kind of like net, or like spider web maybe, of tendrils of golden light that go from heart to heart to heart across the earth. and across all life if you kind of zoom it out. So when you vibrate in your heart, you're connecting to that with your permission if you have openness and allowing. And I know for me, when I come into, I am a part of the great web of love, I feel unified and I feel so like I'm a part of something larger than myself, and that this experience is holy. And that allows me to move through it much more easily, and to trust in it, and to trust in our hearts that have collectively created this because we wanted to, because we choose harmony, we choose unity, we choose now, we ascend now. And by vibrating at that, it is. So let's have a look at the chat for a moment. Okay. Jacob was asking, well, maybe I already answered that. He said, how do you personally practice creating a feeling of harmony within yourself? Well, what I just said, how I practice a feeling of harmony is by, coming into, I love affirming the great web of love because I just feel held in that. I feel safe in that. I visualize it, or I can see it, and I feel it between me and my guides, and then getting bigger and bigger. And that feels really beautiful. I also feel harmony in nature with earth, or just stillness. If you tune into the stillness of nature, you can kind of adopt, or as I said, every vibration is an offering. You can vibrate at that harmony that if you watch nature and you watch animals, they're not like, how do I, they're so like vibrating higher and have a higher consciousness that they're never like, how do I vibrate higher? How do I harmony? It's just in them and of them. So if you if you want to do what I do, I sit in nature and just feel, I just feel that stillness, which is coming from harmony. Stillness is when the energies are not like battling with each other, or being really busy, or heaps of activity. It's just flowing smoothly, and I love that. And I also, as I said, another thing I do is light the candle. If I have these emotions, that's been part of my process, is to light this candle in the way that we just did it today, which is lovely to share with you guys. I was really happy to share that part of my life with you. Yeah. So I'm just going to see other messages. Gabrielle is saying, me and my Tantra group, we're doing exactly this throughout this winter and spring, gathering and having workshops and loving each other anyway. Yeah, good. Yes, we are strong higher self teaching Canada. Olivia's saying, wow, so beautiful. Love this. You're welcome. Okay, Gabrielle's saying, how do you feel now in Australia? Will you leave and travel to Europe maybe this summer? I mean, I don't have any plans to travel to Europe at the moment. I'm not sure. I still hold it in my heart to visit friends that I have in the US and things like that, but I'm trying to just be open and flowing. And I'm not 100% sure. I gotta say, like, Europe is very cold. A lot of Europe is very cold, and also I guess it just depends. I know, that's very simplistic. It depends where you go. But maybe I just have that association with Europe because when I went there, it was super cold. So yeah, I won't rule it out, but I'm more drawn to like beaches, basically. Just put me at the beach and I'll be happy. And I mean, here in Australia, there are beautiful beaches. And I do love, how do I feel in Australia? I love a lot of this, like the nature is just perfect. Like I've got no reason to leave. I kind of love all of it. But yeah, exploring is fun. So we'll see. I'm just checking what other people are saying. Jean is, well, just for privacy, I'm probably not going to answer that, but how would you manifest a community in 9 days? I don't know. I think that depends on your individual circumstances. So, yeah. I'm going to wrap up now. Thank you guys for being here. Remember, if you blow out your candle, that light is always, light remains. And yeah, thank you so much. It's going to be so beautiful for our light to sing. Tina's saying we're all interconnected. Oh, you're so welcome, Tina. I'm glad that we could infuse some connection and unity into your experience. Yeah. Okay, thank you guys so much for being here. I'm sending you love, offering gratitude to our guides and light that have been here today. And I'm intending that our love, our harmony, our unity is always available as a sacred offering, and that freedom and all beings might awaken and be free. Okay, bye guys.